starting Be'ezras Hashem Siman Nun Ches in Sefer Vayoel Moshe. The subject is Binyan Beis Hamikdash before Malchus Beis David. That the Yerushalmi said it's possible, and the Bavli said that when the Beis Hamikdash is built, there's going to be Moshe and Aaron. And we made it shtim. We said it could be that in Chanami, before Mashiach's kingdom is spread, there'll still be Mashiach will still be here, but it won't be spread yet. And at that point, we'll have Moshe and Aaron, and we'll have the Beis Hamikdash. So it could be that there's no machlokes, but the Tosfos Yom Tov made it a machlokes, because the Tosfos Yom Tov on the Mishnah in Ma'aser Sheni, Perkei Mishnah Beis, said that the reason why the Yerushalmi says that is because the Yerushalmi is worried about a case. The Mishnah was really worried about a case when the Beis Hamikdash will be built and there won't be any Chachamim there. So how could that be if Mashiach's not here and Eliyahu is not here? That was the problem. I mean, how could that be unless we say that it will happen totally before Mashiach? Okay? So that's the problem that Tosfos Yom Tov in Ma'aser Sheni is basically saying that it is possible to have a Binyan Beis Hamikdash at a time when there are no Chachamim and there's no Mashiach yet, which is against the Bavli. And we're going to see it's a kasha on Tosfos Yom Tov himself now. Take a look. Nun Ches. Aval hayoyster temua b'divrei haTosfos Yom Tov shaharei b'perek hey diyuma kasav haTosfos Yom Tov. The same Tosfos Yom Tov who says that it's possible to have a Beis Hamikdash at a time when there are no Chachamim says also in a different place in Perek Hey of Masechta Yuma al tzuros b'Beis Hamikdash, when he's talking about the description that Chazal give us in different Masechtas, in Masechta Yuma and Masechta
In no way can you tell how they look until you actually show how they look like.
So Chazal give certain descriptions, yeah? Talmud, Midas. So he says, V'zel Hashoinai, Hadavar Yadua, because Yom Tov says here, it's known, it's a known fact, the Chol Hani Halachas, all the halachas about how the Beis Hamikdash is supposed to look, Hilchasil Mashiach Ninu. They're really not practical halacha.
No,
we can't do anything with them.
They're practical.
Oh. So he says, Tosfos Yom Tov says, no, it's not practical, because we're only going to be able to do this when Mashiach comes. At the time when the Beis Hamikdash will be built in the future, Kevar Ba Eliyahu, V'hitir Kol Asfekas. At that point, Eliyahu will come and he'll resolve all our doubts, all our things that we're not sure about in halacha. Eliyahu will clear it up. Yeah, machlokes about everything, how the big kahuna is supposed to look and how the Beis Hamikdash is supposed to be. Tremendous machlokes. If you see Masechta Midas with the Mefarshim, there are different ways to learn everything.
And you can't say which one's halakha would not practical anyhow, these halachas.
So he's saying that that's why they're not practical. Because we don't know how to actually apply it, we can't actually do it until Mashiach comes. When at that time Eliyahu will be here and he'll answer the questions. And he says, Mishum de binyan Yecheskel de la'asid. Now, the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi is not going to be like the one in Masechta Midas.
He's describing Yecheskel. It's look like, except it's the Navi. You can't take halakha from Navi.
You can, but that's not the point. The point is we don't understand the psukim. He says, Mishum de binyan Yecheskel de la'asid loy pirish al pi Chazal. Chazal don't explain the psukim in Yecheskel to us.
Really, they don't?
No.
Oh, because they do explain Merkava, but they don't explain that.
Like if you look in the Haftorah in Parshas HaChodesh, there's a Haftorah about the size of the Amos of the Mizbeach, Amma v'Toifach, the Chek Ko Amma. Very difficult language in Yecheskel. Okay,
right, that was a vision to Yecheskel by a shlish who will stand forever.
Right. V'chein Kosev
Rambam. Is that
Rambam
supposed to be deeper than Ma'aser Merkava then?
No, but it's just not. It's not practical. It's practical stuff, but it's just hard to understand it.
All right.
So he says, the Tosfos Yom Tov says we don't know how to do it just from reading the psukim. V'chein Kosev Rambam. The Tosfos Yom Tov quotes that the Rambam says, "B'hilchos Beis HaBechira, binyan ha'asi lihibanos." The Beis Hamikdash that will be built in the future, Apa Pisha Hu Kosev B'Yecheskel, even though it is described in Yecheskel, Eino Mefurish U'Mavur. It's not really explained there. It's difficult, enigmatic language. Ad kan l'shoinei. That's the Rambam. So basically, he's saying we can't figure it out just by reading Yecheskel. Okay.
One picture is worth 1,000 words.
Right. V'chein b'psichasoi l'Masechta Midas. The Tosfos Yom Tov also, in his introduction to Masechta Midas, which is about the size of the Beis Hamikdash and the dimensions, right? Bikesh HaTosfos Yom Tov tam al limud Masechta Midas. The Tosfos Yom Tov is bothered, like, why do we even learn this? Shehutzuras Abayis Sheni. It's the description of Bayis Sheni, the second Beis Hamikdash. He says, in the future we're not going to do this. We're not going to do what Bayis Sheni was. We're going to do Yecheskel.
So, because it won't be anyhow.
What?
Because it won't exist anyhow.
What, it won't exist?
The way the Bayis Sheni was won't be.
Right, we're not going to build the future Beis Hamikdash based on the second one. So the point is that Pashtus, all the things are going to be negeh, but the exact dimensions in Masechet Midas are not. So he's asking, why is this part of Shas? Yeah, the Afa Pisha Binyan Shal Asid Yesh Boy Shinuyim, even though the future Beis Hamikdash is going to have differences from Masechet Midas, V'lo Yishvu Im Bayis Sheni, they won't be the same as Bayis Sheni. Ve'ein Yoidim HaPirish B'Yechezkel, and what about Yechezkel? We don't know Pshat in Yechezkel. Be'ezo Eifim Livnoisoi, Ela K'Shenizkel Livnois Binyan HaAsid Yigal HaKodesh Baruch Hu Einenu U'Mala Arz De'as Hashem. How are we going to build it, Taka? That when we are zoicha to build it, Hashem will reveal it to our eyes. He'll open up our eyes and He'll show us the pshat in Yechezkel. L'havin asostim b'divrei Yechezkel v'nivnei, and we'll build it. But right now we can't. But al kaponim, we for sure can't build it based on Bayis Sheni. So he says, "Mikom lachem tzarich l'sipur." So why do we need Bayis Sheni? So he answers, "Mikom lachem tzarich l'sipur binyan hasheni shekein roi v'nyanim yusadim sham." That most of the things in the future Beis Hamikdash are based on things that were in Bayis Sheni.
So it's based off it. Still, if you're based on something, that's what you
right. Because you have to know there's such a thing as an ulam, there's such a thing as a heichal, there's such a thing as a kevish. Exact dimensions you don't have to know. That by learning about the second Beis Hamikdash, we can figure things out. If we didn't have Masechet Midas in Shas, Nichtav b'sefer, written down in a book, then loy matzanu yedeni v'ragleini b'inyan abinyan. We wouldn't even know how to begin thinking about the Beis Hamikdash. So now at least we have something to begin with. Yeah? Ba'in Sham, that's what the Tosfos Yontif says. So you see, so far, 2 places in Tosfos Yontif where he says not to build the Beis Hamikdash before Mashiach comes. And now he has a 3rd place. V'chein kasav Tosfos Yontif perushay al haftorah parshas Tetzaveh v'hevi Sham v'hevi gam meharadak. There he, on his a commentary on the Torah.
Who was the Radak?
Reb David Kimchi Rishon Pirush Ansha.
Where did he live when?
I think he was in either France or Spain. Not sure.
You're not sure, right? When is the late Rishon, early Rishon?
The middle Rishon.
I see. Like in the 1300s?
I think so.
I see.
So his pshat, his Pirush Nach, and he brings down the Tosfos brings down from the Radak. Al miktzas inyanim mibinyan habayis, still asid. Maybe it's the Pirush on Yechezkel. Maybe that's what he's quoting here. So he says that there's some things about the future Beis Hamikdash she'Eliyahu asid l'darsham. The Eliyahu will have to explain it to us. Why? Ki ein anu mevinim bam. We don't understand them ourselves. Yuriyan sham. Im kain hechlit hu be'atzmoi. So you see the Tosfos Yontif in 3 places says on his own here. For complete certainty, that we cannot build the Beis Hamikdash before Eliyahu Mashiach come. He quotes the Rambam in the Radak. Because of Shehu Davar Yadua, he says it's a known fact. So this is very shver, because in Ma'aser Sheni he's saying that you could build it before.
Even without himself all the way.
Even without Mashiach, even without Moshe Rabbeinu, even without Eliyahu, nobody. Okay, so this is a complete contradiction in Tosfos Yontif. Upashit b'kavanasai. Now, just to explain more why we can't build the Beis Hamikdash now, he says the reason is she'iyaf shel livnois bayis shlishi ka'atmuna sheba Masechet Midas. We can't build it based on the picture in Masechet Midas. V'loi k'kasav b'nevuas Yechezkel. You can't follow what Yechezkel says. Why? Shegam b'bayis sheni mevur b'gemara sukkah daf nun aleph. Uzvachim daf samach beis shaloi haya habinyan ela al yidei nevuah. That when they built Bayis Sheni, they had to have Nevi'im to explain them how to do it.
There were still 3 live Nevi'im. There were Chagai, Malachi, and Chagai. They were the last Nevi'im, but they were still alive, and they were able to describe them from Hashem how to build it. And after they did, there was no one Nevuah.
Right. And he says, Kakasuv hakol b'chsav miyad Hashem alai hiskil. That this pasuk is in Divrei Yomim, it's describing Bayis Rishon. When David HaMelech said that he gave over instructions to his son, Shlomo, how to build Bayis Rishon, he said, Hashem told it to me through his Nevi'im, God and Nasan, David's Nevi'im. But the pasuk is brought in these 2 Gemaras, Sukkah and Zvachim, is brought regarding Bayis Sheni. And it's saying Bayis Sheni also had to be made based on Nevuah. And I'll just tell you what it's about. Sukkah Daf Nun Aleph is about the Indian of the balcony. You know, in the Beis Hamikdash there was a balcony where the ladies went during Simchas Beis HaShoeva. So in order to prevent the ladies from mingling with the men, that's the source according to Rabbi Moshe. That's how we know we have to have a mechitza in shul. So the Gemara in the Sukkah says,
the Kavah Chomer is even the base midrash Shina was openly told the Shina. You still even then need separation.
Right.
Kol Shekin when it's not revealed.
So he says. So the Gemara in Sukkah asks, how did they know to make this balcony? You can't just put things in the base of Mikdash without having nevuah. It says Hakol b'chsav miyad Hashem alai hiskil.
In addition, it's possible base of Mikdash.
Right. You can't just do what you want. So the Gemara asks, and the Gemara answers that they found a pasuk for it to support the Indian of separation of men and women. Okay.
What
the pasuk is that the pasuk says in Zechariah that in the hesped that they're going to make on Mashiach ben Yosef, they're going to have men and women separate. Mm-hmm. So the Gemara says the Kal v'chomer, if by a sad time you have to have them separate, so by a happy time for sure it's important to separate men and women. Mm-hmm. Okay, so after they found that pasuk, that's how they had the license to add on to the Beis Hamikdash. From Daf Samach Beis is about the Makom HaMizbeach, and by Sheni, when they built the Mizbeach, it says they made it a little bigger. So the Gemara there asks that how do they have a right to do that? So because it has to be done through Nevuah. And the Gemara comes out, they had a pasuk that said that they're allowed to make it as big as they want, as long as it's in the same place as the Azar. Okay, and certain things like the Mizbeach and like the Mechitza, like the balcony, they found a pasuk. But either it has to be one or the other. It has to be either a Nevuah or a pasuk. So in the future, we're not going to build the base of Mikdash unless we have a Navi telling us how to do it, or else we have the Pshat and the Psukim in Yechezkel, which we can't figure out right now on our own. Gam Oster Livnois, the second reason why Tosfos Yom would say that you can't build it today is because Oster Livnois Ela Al Makom HaMikdash,
which we know what it is exactly.
We don't know exactly where it is, so especially the Mizbeach, you have to know exactly where the Mizbeach is.
Otherwise, it's a bama. It's building a bama.
Yeah, and then the third thing he says is Ukashi Avayu El Yahu Mashiach. Even if, let's say, you would ignore these first two reasons. You would say, yeah, I could build it myself and I'll be like Rav Kalisher, I'll figure out where it is, I'll measure, whatever, right? But the problem is that when Yahu Mashiach do come, and they have to build the base of Mikdash, and let's say they find out that we did it wrong, right? All these Temple Mount Chevra, let's say they put it in the wrong place. So comes Yahu Mashiach and they have to build a real base of Mikdash. What are they going to do? They're going to have to knock it down, right?
Which is steer because if it was possible, then it's nothing then.
Okay, but listen what he says. He says, if there's going to be another base of Mikdash there that's built by some organization before, right? So then you hate Sarach Lahachrivoy. Yahu Mashiach are going to have to destroy that building. There's not going to be a third churban. There's only going to be two churbanos, Bayis Rishon, Bayis Sheni. V'lo yoser, not more. Kamasha calls it Rashi Zal b'Parshas Pekudei Mishkan Beis Pamim. Rashi at the beginning of Pekudei says Eila Pekudei Mishkan Oedis. Right? Rashi says, why does it say twice? Because Sheshnei Mikdashes is Mashkanu. There are two base of Mikdashes that are going to get taken away as a pikadon, as a safekeeping.
So Mishkan or Mashkan, like collateral?
Yeah, like collateral.
That's interesting thing to know.
So he says, but only twice, right? Umevur b'medrash Rabbi Seder Bikates, Parshat Tzadik Beis and Gimel. Ba'ani kasher shechalti, that Yaakov said to his sons, kasher shechalti, right? As I have been bereaved, I have been bereaved. So the medrash darshans that just like I was bereaved b'churban rishon, shechalti b'churban sheni. I was bereaved in the second churban. And just like I had these two churbanos, I'm not going to have any more. Only two. Alright? There's only going to be the second one, which is like the first, and that's it. Alright. Now, but there's not going to be a third base of Mikdash destroyed. So how could it be that, let's say, someone will build a base of Mikdash in the wrong place, and then Eliyahu will come and knock it down and build it again? What I have share here is that in the time of the second base of Mikdash, there was a time when they knocked down the base of Mikdash. Hurdas knocked it down.
Not the whole thing.
Yeah, it sounds like in the Gemara Bava Basra, he knocked it down, Daf Daled, and he built it again.
Uh-huh.
So What was the purpose of that? To make it better, right? You wanted to improve it. So you see, to improve something, if you knock it down and build it again to improve it, that's not called a churban. So here also, the fact that, let's say they build it in the wrong place and Mashiach has to knock it down and build it again, it's not called a churban, it's called an improvement on the building.
Well, maybe not the whole thing down once it's puzzle, maybe.
Okay, but
maybe
still,
once it's puzzle, you have to knock the whole thing down and leave none of it.
Maybe, but then even if that's the case, it'll still not be called a churban. A churban is when the enemies come and destroy it without the purpose of building it up again.
Well, maybe you have to even uproot the foundation if it's totally puzzle, maybe. Possibly mean you have to uproot every bit if it's built puzzle.
Okay, could
possibly
be.
It's what possibly mean because you have to leave none of it left because you can't have association with from what's puzzle before.
Okay, could be. Okay, there's not going to be any other Beis Hamikdash in between except for the future Beis Hamikdash that's going to be built in the future. We can't understand exactly how to build it from the Pesukim in Yechezkel. Therefore, the Tosfos Yom Tov says it's for sure not going to be built by us before Mashiach. He says it's a known fact. The Eliyahu Mashiach will already be here. The whole world will be filled with knowledge of Hashem. So we have a real contradiction on our hands here. How could the Tosfos Yom Tov just bring down this Yerushalmi in Meiser Sheni and he doesn't, raise any objections to it? Shabinyan Beis Hamikdash Kohen Malchus Beis David. Upirish boy, and he explains it himself. He didn't have to explain. He could have learned like the Pnei Moshe, but he explains it. She'ef shaliv noisei af bedor she'ein boy gedolim kol kach. That there won't be so many gedolim. There won't be Moshe and Aaron. V'lo yeheir me'uma mima shekosta b'chama mekoymes she'adavar yadua she'ein zeh b'metzias. He doesn't even object that he himself writes in other places that it's not going to happen. V'zeh l'choyer stira atzuma. This is a tremendous contradiction. B'divrei Tosfos Yom Tov. I never saw any of the Mefarshim asking this question in the Tosfos Yom Tov.